Welcome everyone, let's go play City Skylines 2. That's right, Paradox gave us early access to show you gameplay of City Skylines 2, so let me do exactly that. Let's keep this intro short so we get to it right away. We will start building our brand new city. I'm mostly going to be doing it live with some parts skipped, so I won't waste your time with the more boring bits. I will show you the new features you could have seen in the development highlights earlier, but here you can witness the gameplay as if you were building it yourself. This is a development build of the game, meaning that some things will be polished more until the main release in October. In this first video, I can reach the first major milestone, which is the Grand Village. I will show you the milestones later and what that means. There will be more videos in this early access time where we will progress further. That's that. Let's go build our first city in City Skylines 2. The start looks very similar to City Skylines 1. You have the initial area, although in this case it's actually 3x3 tiles. I will show you later how it looks because we will buy more tiles. And otherwise you have some basic infrastructure to hook up your city. So you have the highways, for example, with this highway interchange already pre-built. By the way, look at these turning and merging lanes and, for example, this merge or split of these roads. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to like road building, complicated road building, because this looks great. I'm really looking forward to all the possibilities that the road building will bring. But anyway, I digress. So on this particular map, there are also railways and power lines, because remember, you can actually connect power lines outside of the map in CS2 and import-export electricity. You could have seen that in the development highlights. Anyway, let's keep this short. Let's start building right away. So when I first started my first city, I made a huge mistake, and that is, I did not check the wind direction. This is very important because you really don't want to plan your city. So you will build an industrial zone so that the air pollution is going to blow over your city, into your city. So I made that mistake in my first city. Right now, I am going to check the wind direction before starting to plan. So let me just establish some initial road layout. And this is a great opportunity to introduce the road building in CS2. So you could have already seen that in the highlights, but let me just repeat that. So you have the different tool modes. There's the grid mode. We will do that with the industrial zone. Then the elevation parallel mode. That's very handy for example, highways or some kind of big boulevards. And then there are all kinds of snapping options. They are actually quite interesting. There are more snapping options than in CS1 because road building is so much more free, like restrictions free compared to CS1. Watch this, for example. This is the roundabout. I can just click on the sidewalk. Look at that. And it's even going to connect to the roundabout. It's going to alter its shape to kind of make it look okay. I can even cut the roundabout. It's going to connect to it. I can cut the roads. It's going to create the intersections. I can just connect to the lanes. I can connect. I don't even need to click on the road, and it's going to actually spill into that neighboring road. So that's kind of interesting. I'm really looking forward to see the potential develop in the future. Anyway, so let me just build some kind of waterfront in here for our city. I would really like to focus the city on the waterfront. I'm of course going to be building mostly in like straight pieces. Of course, this is a vanilla game. There is zoning, so I have to pay attention to that. And, you know, the grids are just going to more efficiently use the space. But I don't want to just build grids. So let me just line this waterfront real quick with some sort of like a pedestrian promenade. So this is my road layout for the city center. But let me just show you how I'm going to build like little suburb. So I'm going to do that with a medium road. I will explain that later. And I'm going to snap to the center of this roundabout. And using the parallel mode, I'm going to build two roads like this. So it's going to be like a disconnected suburb block. Now, for this perpendicular direction, I cannot actually do that because that parallel road is going to be on the other side. So I have to go with just a single one. I don't need to connect it to those other roads. It's going to automatically create the intersections like I mentioned before. And now I would like to build this second road 3 units or 3 zoning units away from the first one. So I can easily do that with the snapping options. Now I want to clip off this one and change this one in the center or inside the block into a smaller road. And look at that. I can switch it on one side, or if I turn off the snapping entirely, look at this. I can actually switch it to the narrower variant like that freely. So that's a major difference from CS1 as well. All right, so this is going to be, like I said, just a disconnected suburb block. I'm going to connect it to the main road, maybe at this point, and let's say at this point. And then inside of the block, I'm going to do some sort of like an organic shape. So I'm just going to use the continuous road tool for that. Yeah, sure, the zoning is going to be kind of broken. It's not really going to provide the most efficient use of the area, but I just want it to look nice. I also need to establish the industrial zone already. I will explain why later. So let me just continue this medium road all the way up to the train tracks. Not all the way. There will be maybe some kind of intersection over here, maybe a regular roundabout later. But right now I'm just going to continue with a small road off from that intersection. And I'm going to build the grid. So look at this. I'm just going to do this. Then I'm going to switch to grid. Then let's say that the industrial zone is going to be maybe like this large. And then I'm just going to do the grid easily like this. The reason I need to have an industrial zone is that on this particular map, we are in a flat land and it's not suited for wind power. Yeah, you can see that if I want to place the wind turbine, it's going to tell me that wind speed is too low. Later, we are going to buy tiles on the mountains and put them in there on the high land. But right now we have to build a small coal power plant. That's actually going to be nice because I will show you how it works with electricity export. I can hook it up with the big power plant, a big power line to the outside connections. So there we go. Now we are going to be also exporting electricity. Now, the rest of the city I don't need to connect because, remember, in City Skylines 2, there are electric wires under the streets, just like there are sewage and water pipes. Now, speaking of water and sewage, we need to provide that. So, groundwater pumping station I'm going to build. I could build just a water pumping station on a river, just like in CS1, but in CS2, there are these groundwater reservoirs. Let's just place it directly in the center. And look at that, we are now a tiny village because you are receiving experience points, especially from placing those, service buildings, unique buildings, and these kinds of things. And that's going to push you towards some more milestones. We got money, that's more important, that's most important. Then we got some development points, I will show you later. And we got expansion permits for 3 more tiles. 3 is kind of a lot for a single milestone, but remember in CS2 tiles are smaller than in CS1, but there are more of them. In the milestone overview, you can see what you unlocked. So most importantly, we got medium density housing, some additional roads, and healthcare, deathcare, garbage management, a landfill. But first things first, we need to provide the sewage outlet. So let's just put that downstream of the river, just like in CS1. You really don't want to put it upstream to just flow it through the entire city. And this one needs to be connected by sewage pipes to your existing network. But again, remember, all roads, except for highways, do have the pipes beneath them already. All right, so let me unpause the game and do some first zoning. So let's do the low density zoning right here in the suburbs. I'm just going to zone it completely. Demand bar in CS2 works differently compared to CS1. It's going to show you more demand for all these kinds of densities of housing and other things. Even industrial and office is going to be separated, and it immediately reacts to changes that you do. So on the main street, I already know that I'm going to build some sort of commerce. And look at that, I placed it down and it immediately started lowering the demand. So it immediately just shows the consequences of how you are building your city. That's good because in CS1, the demand bars were a little bit too general, but in here they are more detailed. They will show you exactly what you need to do and very quickly react. And when you zone, these construction sites will pop up with the cranes, the big ones with cranes, and they will actually take some time before they are built. So that is a tiny bit more realistic. Actually, before I completely build the industrial zone, let me build the landfill because we already unlocked it with the first milestone. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to build it right over here. The building is huge by default, but it also comes with that paintable area for the actual landfill. So look at this. When you build it, it's automatically going to going to tell you to place that. If you don't, if you just go away, then it's just going to have this tiny landfill at the back. But then I can just click it and click the area tool again, and it's going to allow me to just change the shape of the fence of the landfill. And look at this, and it's going to snap just like with the roads. It has some snapping options, and I can just change the area to fit this entire place. Let's place the rest of the unlocked buildings. Let's start with the cemetery. It's huge. It's absolutely gigantic building, as you can see, and it requires a flat area. Well, it doesn't really require it. It's just going to look weird because it's going to flatten it on its own. So let me just place it right over here. Now, by the way, with the cemetery, you can also do the upgrades. In this particular case, chapel and mausoleum. And you can just place them on the side, and you can place more of them. They are bringing in some bonuses to the well-being, in this particular case, well-being within some radius. By the way, the cemetery itself is creating some kind of well-being bonus within a radius, so you don't really want to have it outside of the city too much. And let's also build a medical clinic. So let's just put that somewhere over here. I'm expecting this area in the center of the city to be some sort of a central park. So let's actually plant more trees in it. And later we can cut them down or shape them somehow. But what's interesting is that you can see that the trees are actually tiny when you first place them down. So I guess they need some time to grow. Look at this. There is actually a forest brush applied already. You can change the brush size, you can change the strength. Let's crank it up, and then we can just put all these little trees around here, all these little bushes right now. And you can also switch themes with the trees, just like with the buildings, with the zoning. And here we go. I was zoning, and suddenly milestone 2 was unlocked. So we got some more money. That's very welcome. More development points and expansion permits. So we will see that soon. Alright, so we unlocked taxation, that's very nice. Medium density housing. Now this is not the row housing, it's slightly higher buildings actually than the row housing, the medium density row housing. And then we got some schools, so let's place those. Let's put the high school somewhere close to the main street, maybe right over here. The city is going to expand eventually in this direction, so why not? And at the back of it, we can also build a sports field, which is going to add to the outdoor recreation, as you can see. And it has some attractiveness, and it's just, you know, overall looking nice at the back of that school. Unfortunately, you cannot, at least I don't know how, you cannot really change its orientation. So I would place it like this, but like, you know, turned 90 degrees. But let's just place it over here. I had to get rid of that street, but that's okay. And let's just do it like that, right on the main street, so that it's easily accessible. Let's also build elementary schools. The elementary school is smaller, so we can put it into much smaller blocks. And here we go. Because I placed a lot of those service buildings, which give a lot of experience points, I advanced to milestone 3 reasonably quickly, and we got some more money, some more development points, and expansion permits. So we can now do specialized industry. We can do livestock farming and stone mining. Let's do that. That's going to look interesting. So let's just quickly put a firehouse roughly to the center of the build area, and a police station. And now I'm going to take a look at this view of the city, and I'm going to click the natural resources info view. And that's going to tell me, oh, look at that. Right below our existing industrial zone, there is oil deposit, but oil is going to be unlocked much later. We are not going to do that today. But we have fertile land, a big one, on this side of the river. We will have to cross it. And then we have, at the foot of the mountains here, we have ore resources. So let's buy areas so we can use that. All right, I'm going to, just like in CS1, click the map tiles, and look at that. We have the starting 3x3 window, and then I'm going to buy maybe these two. I can just marquee select them like that, and click purchase. Now, I'm going to buy also these 3 right here, and I'm also going to buy actually this like an L shape, because I would like to put those wind farms on top of that mountain. So let's purchase that. Now, as you can see, when I go into the Specialized Industry tab, go for Livestock Farming, then it's going to show me the radius where I can build the farm from the main building. That's behaving exactly the same as the landfill, for example. So, as you can see, we will definitely require more farms. Although I will only build one livestock, because later we will unlock grain farming, actually. So, I would also like to do that. This means that I would probably like to build some sort of like a central road roughly through the center of that place. So let me quickly go into the road tab. Let's pick the 2-lane wooden covered bridge, because why not? It's gonna be a nice looking bridge. I will probably have to build it a little bit taller, so just like in CS1, I have to click page up and elevate it, then place it down like this. I'm gonna continue with the gravel road because why not? And this one I will have to put back to the surface. I'm gonna do it somewhat short in here, the transition, and then just continue straight. There we go. Now, let me go into that zoning, specialized industry, livestock farming, and let's put our farm roughly over here. I'm probably wasting a little bit of space there though, so maybe let's put it closer. Even though I did not unlock that tile, I will have to later extend it a little. So maybe let's put the farm like that, and then I'm just going to paint exactly like with the landfill, the area. Let's do it a bit more ordinary. We kind of have to do that anyway because, well, you know, we did not unlock that tile like I mentioned. And let's do the ore mine next. So the ore deposits are around here, but it's a very sloped area. So before that, I want to do some landscaping to make sure that just visually the building is going to look all right. So, you know what? I'm just going to first place it down, because it's going to flatten the terrain for it. I'm going to pause the game for this. Then I'm going to go into landscaping so I can actually show how that works. The same tools are in CS1, so no surprises here. I'm just going to use the level terrain. I'm just going to flatten ground roughly next to the building where I want to place it, and then I'm just going to soften it down. Look at this. As you can see, compared to CS1, the terrain looks a lot better, and it seems that the mesh of the terrain is much finer because it's not creating those weird, like, you know, sawtooth edges at some points, but it's actually looking a little bit more natural. I'm just going to place a gravel road for connection with the mine, because why not? It's kind of fitting for this outlying area. Then I'm going to place the main building and outline the entire field. Let's just do like a huge ore mine all around this deposit. So I will have to unlock some additional tiles, obviously, to completely utilize it, but right now it seems like this could be enough. Now, by the way, just because you place the building, it doesn't mean that it's actually going to start doing something, because it's just a building. A company actually needs to go in and start doing something. All right, and the next thing that I want to do is use these mountains for some wind power. Let's go do that. Because as you can see, when I click the wind turbine, it's going to show me that there is really strong wind. The flattening of the terrain. Look how precise it is compared to CS1. In CS1, I'm not really sure about wind turbines exactly, but you know, various kinds of buildings will flatten terrain just a bit too much. And in here, it's actually also a perfect circle, which only shows how the terrain mesh is much finer. So anyway, let me just put a whole bunch of these on top of the mountain, because I just also want to have them as decoration, to be completely honest. And now we need to hook them up with low voltage electric cables this time. They require a low voltage. All right, and we have our wind farm. How much electricity are we making right now? We are producing 47.2 megawatts. We are consuming 6 megawatts, which means that I don't need the coal power plant anymore, and we are just going to use the green electricity. So I'm just going to sell it. I'm just going to sell the small power plant. I'm just going to demolish it. I'm also going to demolish these wires, but I am going to build a transformer station somewhere, I don't know, over here maybe, because I really don't need it to be right next to the rest of the city. And that's going to allow me to just hook it up to my network, low voltage network. and it will allow me to export electricity. So let's do it with the overhead wires in here and connect it to the outside world. Now also we can buy some upgrades for the wind turbines. We can, for example, upgrade them with batteries. So let's maybe just upgrade one of them. It's going to provide it with a battery for exactly 10 megawatts. And at some point it's going to fully charge, and if there's going to be no wind, then it will simply draw the battery. As you can see, it decreased our export because of course the excess electricity is now used to charge the battery. Although not everything is going to be used for that, because the battery has some kind of charging capacity, 4 megawatts to be exact. And look at that, companies already moved into the mine and they are doing something. I just quickly whipped up this second suburb on the side of the city. I will probably later get rid of it because as the downtown grows, we don't really want to have the suburbs too close. But right now we do have low density demand, quite high. So let me just quickly zone it. We also have more commercial demand. This time around I'm going to zone it in here around this main road. We still have a lot of low density demand, so I really need to channel my inner American and build all of these suburbs around the cities. Alright, so it's soon going to be nighttime, and as you can see there is this little problem right now where the night lights are overly bright. This is a known issue because I am on the development build of Cities Skylines 2 right now, so this will be fixed very soon. But I need to record this video kind of early, so right now I still have it, but like I said, it's a development build and this is a known problem. Well, okay, and during the night I advanced to milestone 4, which is the last milestone that we can unlock today, but we can still see what it brings and build some interesting stuff. So we got some more money, some more development points, expansion points. Let's take a look at what we unlocked. So we can now create districts. We can look at the production panel. We can do policies. We have natural disasters now. We have to pay attention to that. But most importantly, we got some low-rent housing, low-density housing, blah, blah, blah. We got transportation. We can now do public transport. We can do buses at first, and then we need to research the rest of them. So trams, trains. Actually, in the meantime, let me just quickly unlock some more tiles, because we can now unlock 6 more. So I think I will need these. I kind of like them. And, well, city could be expanded in this direction maybe. So let's buy those. Alright, it's morning the next day, and there are a lot of things that I want to show you connected to the last milestone that we can do today, but also some other things that I forgot. So let's start with that. So I want to show you how the restrictions on road building are much looser compared to CS1. Look at, for example, this space below this bridge. I want to just quickly build the extension of this promenade, and look at that, I can actually do that. I don't think that Cities Skylines 1 would allow me to do these kinds of tight things like this. Then I'm just going to quickly connect it into this existing promenade like that, and so that people can just walk from this suburb to the rest of the downtown. Now, also we have a couple of signature buildings. So these are basically unique buildings from CS1, although they do work like Rico buildings from CS1. We can place that somewhere in the downtown. I'm actually going to place it so I can utilize this empty spot for the zoning. Let's just put it right there. And it's going to house 180 households. That's a lot because a similarly shaped building house 45. Look at that. So that's quite nice to have these signature buildings. We also unlocked office zoning. So let me just quickly zone some offices around the downtown over here. Although I guess I will probably just use that mostly as a buffer between the industry, between the polluting areas and the rest of the city. Just like in CS1, really. Then I want to show you finally the progression, the development, because we have a lot of development points. So let's start spending them. I really want to have roundabouts. This is going to unlock larger roundabouts. Let's unlock that. I want to also do the advanced road services because that will allow you to set up traffic lights. You can ban right turns, left turns, and other kinds of things. Then I would really like to unlock, for example, the recycling center, so that we don't need to have the landfill anymore. We can also do incinerator, why not? But most importantly, the public transport. So I'm going to unlock trains and trams right now. And then I still have 3 points that we can, for example, spend on parks, because we will need that. We want to fill the inside of the city with some sort of parks, so large parks preferably. So that's going to be it. Now we have 0 development points. Let's start with the public transport, and I really don't have much time, so I'm just going to show you trams. We're going to build a tram depot. Let's put it right here, perhaps. And I'm going to now upgrade the tracks. So what I need to do is I need to click the double tracks, and this is different from CS1 because you are only going to be upgrading the roads with the tracks. So you're not going to be actually building new roads like in CS1, but you will just put the tracks on existing roads. That's huge. That's a big difference. I'm just going to line this this entire main avenue with the trams. As you can see, the tracks are immediately automatically built through the roundabout, and now that we are here, this is a main road entering the city. Let's actually turn it into the largest roundabout. So that's why I unlocked them. Let's just put it here. Look at this beauty. And here, let me just temporarily create this tram loop. I hope I'm going to be doing it right. It's gonna be just a single one way, and well, there we go. That's actually nice how it all snaps together. Of course, yeah, sure. If I was doing this in one of my detailing series, I would probably do the tram wires by hand, because right now they are bending where they probably shouldn't be. They are not going over the tracks and all these things. But still, it was super easy to put it together like that. All right, and now that I'm done with the tracks, we first need to establish the stops. So before we actually do the line, like in CS1, we actually need to build the stops separately. So I'm just going to sprinkle it around the main avenue here and there. So now I'm just going to be clicking the lines, or sorry, the stops like this, and it's just going to create a line exactly the same way as in CS1. So this last one, finish it, and here we go. Now I'm going to unpause the game, of course, and from the tram depot, we will soon have the trams going. Oh yeah, there they are. Look at those. They have 240 capacity. When you click buses, trains, trams, it's going to show you this line overview, which neatly shows you where the vehicles currently are, what the stops are. You can of course click the stops, go to them, just like in improved public transport in Cities Skylines 1. So that's kind of neat. We also unlocked the district creation tool. So we can, for example, create a district right here. As you can see, it's going to snap to the roads, and you can do it differently compared to CS1. Here, you're just going to define the area, actually super similarly to, for example, defining the landfill or some of those farms and those kinds of places. We also unlocked another specialized industry, that is grain farming and forestry. So let's do the grain farm over here. It's going to nicely complement this previous farm. It's going to look similar. The farm is going to have different view. That's nice. And I assume that it's going to spawn different buildings afterwards. At the end of this place, maybe I can also do the forestry specialization. So let's build a road maybe like this a little, so that we are closer to that forest. I'm going to go for the specialized industry forestry, place the main building right here, and maybe define the area something like that to just encompass that entire forest. One very important thing that was unlocked at this milestone is the production tab in the economy window. So that's going to tell us how much surplus we have. So we are producing quite a lot of rocks from that mine, but also right now wood. We are exporting wood from this new forestry area, so that's nice. But we see that we have a huge deficit of grain. So I should probably build more grain farms, because I already built the first one. But as you can see, we are making 26. We still need 48 tons a month. So I'm going to build one more and offset this, and hopefully that's going to be cheaper to produce it locally, of course. And one last thing that I want to show you are taxes, because right now we have quite a big demand for industrial and residential, but it doesn't mean that we need to necessarily build those zones, because if I don't want to expand the city right now, which I don't, then I might as well just increase taxes, and it's simply going to lower the demand so that it's going to balance it out. So I can just even crazily increase the taxes for industrial. As you can see, the demand is immediately reacting to that. And if it's going to go all the way to 0, then I will just lower it. If it's going to stay somewhere in the middle, then I can easily just keep it the way it is and just earn more money. Look at that. At the end today, we are in the green, so that's nice. So that needs to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching it. I know it's kind of short to cover everything, and there are so many things that I skipped over, but hopefully it gave you some basic idea how CS2 feels. This is still a development build. There are a lot of things to polish, but they are being polished right now already. And of course, there's still some time until final release in October. But when that happens in October, I'm just going to dive so much deeper into CS2. And we're going to talk about all the things that the game has to offer. But right now, in this early access period, let's just focus on the gameplay and just like first introduction, first feel of the game, okay? So, thank you guys for watching again. Take care and goodbye.